I'd like to do a little preamble of just in case anyone isn't familiar with Volition. So we are dedicated to elevating entrepreneurship through one-on-one coaching, through skills-based training, and through community events. So we're best known for our pitch events. That's kind of what I was just alluding to a moment ago with our upcoming Success Showcase. And I am Melanie, so I'm one of the co-founders and managing partners of Volition. And in terms of this founder chat, essentially we kicked these off in April when, COVID was had really hit us hard, and we were talking to the entrepreneurs in our ecosystem to see how we can support. And one of these things that came out was, it's always really hard at the beginning of this entrepreneur journey to get visibility. So we were like, hey, you know what? We've got an IG channel. We might as well use that and see how it goes. And then we've just since then kind of invited other people from the community, such as yourself, as well as some of our other pitch alumni to come in and talk about what their experience has been this year, but also well before that. And I'm really excited to dig into this conversation with great. You. Yeah. So is it Andrei or Andre?
Andre. Yeah.
Andre. Okay.
Like the French version, but with an I.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Andre. Matei.
Yes, that's correct. Spot
okay. On. Okay. Perfect. So Andre, and just correct me if I say that wrong again at any point in time. So Andre is the co-founder, and I have biz dev. So in charge of all things biz development. Yes.
I wear a lot of hats, but more specifically, I tend to gear towards business development side and like the brand. So I cover also the marketing, the sales. I also deal with a lot of the investor relations stuff. Again, many hats.
All the hats.
But try to summarize it a bit.
Yeah. That's why it just says biz dev.
Yeah.
All the things of Robbox. And if you haven't heard of Robbox, it's very cool. I have down it's the world's first digital smart drill. I know that you're looking at I believe you're looking at other tools as well, but the xDrill seems to be the one that's kind of like your
it's our initial product launch.
Initial product. Cool. Yeah. So we're going to get to hear all about that, which is great. I know you were founded in 2016. That's when we also met you at Volition. Well, more accurately, we met your dad at Volition.
Yeah.
And he was pitching and then introduced us to you, which was really fantastic. I know you've had an incredible year with your Kickstarter, where you had over 400 backers, and I'm so excited to hear what you've been up to. So with no further ado, essentially for those who are joining us, whether you're joining us right now or you're joining us later on IGTV, please do make sure to say hello. I see we have one person who's joined us here so far, so say hello to us. Let us know where you're joining us from, and if you're joining us later, please do also say hello. And essentially this will be kind of like a informal interview style, so if you have questions for Andre along the way, please do also send those in. And is this your first time doing an IG Live, Andre?
I think it is actually, yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting, yeah. It's different for sure.
yeah, it is. It's really fun. Honestly, I think like a vast majority, like 95% of people I've done this with, it's been their first time. So it's still something we're all learning about, which is awesome. It's nice and casual though. I quite enjoy it. So anyways, I'll stop talking though, because I think we want to hear about you. So we want to hear about kind of the first thing I always love to know is, of course, tell us about yourself and your role within Robbox, but also what is the story behind Robbox? I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the co-founder, and again, I take care also of the business development side as well as a lot of the investor side. I like to keep busy with the marketing, the sales side, and also with investor relations. As being a startup, of course, you always need to pitch your product, raise funds to move forward. Yeah. And that's essentially where I lie, and that's where my skills lie. My father's actually the other co-founder, and he's more on the technology side. He is the inventor at heart, the guy who came up with the aha idea.
Yeah.
And I'm helping him out on the business side, and we were able to grow the business over the past 4 years into where it is now. And Robbox, essentially what we're doing is we are developing the next generation of smart digital power tools. So if you take a look at all the power tools today, they're pretty bland, they've been the same for probably the past 20 years, I'd say. A drill still is pretty much a drill, just now it doesn't have a cord on it.
Yeah.
cordless, the batteries have improved, and we're taking that to the next level. We're actually introducing technology, real technology. We're introducing the smart technology that's out there in all the other products that you use, and we're putting it into an industry that has seen very minimal innovation. And we are one of the first ones to do it. And I'm sure, a lot of other companies are going to follow suit as we go. But we're excited, where we are today. And I'd love to share, how we started right off the bat. And I'll start off.
Tell us about the aha moment and such.
Yeah. So this was probably back again in 2016. Yeah. And we were working in a manufacturing facility. So we were working with tools on a daily basis. My job there was essentially a general manager. So I was taking care of the shop floor. I was managing people. I was also doing a little bit of the marketing there. And I was also working with tools. I was working with my hands as well. And over time, we noticed that we were, going to the hardware store. We were always going through new tools, and we were finding ourselves buying the same tools over and over and over. And there was always that extra bit, of a task that we wanted to do that we couldn't do, whether it was calculating something, measuring something. And we're like, why hasn't the tool industry changed anything out there right now in order to give more value to the users? And it was a question that, kind of sat with us. And my father, again, being the inventor that he is, he kind of took it with him at home every day, and he was kind of thinking it over and over and over. And then it was kind of a point of, hey, why doesn't anyone put a small computer, very similar to what's in your smartphone, into a handheld tool that'll allow you to program it, put software into it, do all these things that you could never do? And it was at that point, we were actually traveling to Asia, and we were doing some sourcing for our other company, our manufacturing facility. And we had the privilege of having a connection that actually worked in the power tool industry, and he worked in a factory in Asia. And we got a tour of the factory, and we actually looked through the whole factory. And to much of our surprise, we noticed that there was no innovation being done. We talked to tons of engineers, and their whole focus was on cost reduction, making the product cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And that's when we're like, okay, we might have something with our idea here. We just got to see if it works. Then came back to Vancouver, and we went to the drawing board. We put up a concept idea on a piece of paper, and we started working on it. Let's see, hey, is this even plausible? Now, if you wanted to do this back in, say, 2013, it might have been very difficult, strictly because of the fact that there just wasn't the technological advancements out there in terms of components, chips, small enough to fit everything inside. 2016, that changes. Technology is ramping up at a crazy pace. And, we were able to put a prototype together. And this was back in about 2017.
I remember.
Yeah. So, and then that's when we connected with Paul, and, we started pitching the idea. I'm sure, I don't know if you remember, I know Paul remembers, we showed up with a pitch with like this big hunk of metal, and we're like, yeah, I can do this and that and this. And everyone's just like,
can it though?
So we needed to do some market validation at that point, because we thought it was a great idea, right? But we needed to see if other people thought the same thing. And it was at that point that we took this prototype to the National Hardware Show in Las Vegas, and we showed it to people. We're like, hey, what do you think? You can do this on it. We'll able to do this. You can do much more. This is just the basics. And people were like, jaws to the floor. They're like, holy, like this is next level. Like we knew something like this was going to happen. We just didn't know when, and we didn't know who was going to do it, right? Because to be fair, the larger brands are comfy. They have huge profit margins, and there's no need to disrupt the business model that's already been established.
Right.
And us as a startup allows us to take that step and bring something completely new to the market. So we got that validation from the market, and we're like, okay, we're onto something. So we went back home. We continued working. We continued iterating. In 2018, we came out with the first xDrill prototype, which is the smart drill that you're familiar with. And as they say, the rest is history. We're here today. We put a lot of work under our belts. We were doing it part-time from probably 2016 to 2018. And then we realized, like, if we want to take this to the next level, we need to put our all into it. And that we sold our previous business, and now we were full force into Roblox. And today we actually this July that just passed, we were able to launch our product after a lot of work from all our engineering teams, our whole team, right? And it was a great moment.
Right. Oh my goodness. What did you do something to acknowledge or celebrate that?
Honestly, not that I remember really.
Entrepreneurs, hey? That's the
I think we
worst.
went out for like a drink or something, but we kept it simple. You know, it's still a
Yeah.
long road to go. So,
Yeah. But oh my goodness, it's been like what you've done in the past 4 years, like it's incredible. I was just looking at your Kickstarter and it looks so slick. Like the
thank you.
product looks, I can
Appreciate it.
remember like from conception to what you have now. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it is. You know, and sometimes I feel like we tend to do that. We tend to not look back.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, don't look back, keep moving forward," you know, but sometimes you do have to look back and see like what you've accomplished in this time. And when I do look back, you know, obviously we couldn't have done it with our engineering team and you know all the talented people that we have working for us. Without them, you know, there would be no product. So
Yeah. I just like I was just thinking about what you're saying, like I'm curious about what it felt like when you had that moment of, oh my goodness, this hasn't been done yet. Like this is an actual idea that we can pursue. Like that you know, there's the aha moment of like, oh, there's this thing I think we should do, but then there's the like, oh, this is actually innovative, which doesn't happen that often anymore. Like, how did that
rare, yeah.
feel?
It's very rare, and you know, it was mixed emotions, I'd say.
Yeah.
Of course, excitement, but also you're a little nervous because you're like, why hasn't it been done?
Yeah.
Why hasn't anyone else done it? Is there
Yeah.
something we're missing here?
Yeah.
So, but no, like it was a mix of emotions for sure, but the excitement that we receive from others, you know, from users that actually see it and they're getting excited, and you see that and you feed off that energy, and ultimately
Yeah.
that's what keeps you going. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Okay, so for those who are just joining, hi everyone who's joined. Please do say hello. It's lovely to see you here and ask questions if you have any along the way. But Andre, I'd love to know for those who have joined us and are watching this, can you walk us through the actual experience? If I were to go out and pre-order this xDrill, A,
Right.
when am I going to get my xDrill? And B, what does it feel like to actually use it?
Great questions. So first off, right now we were on Kickstarter. So we finished our campaign on Kickstarter, and we have now transitioned to Indiegogo in demand.
Yeah.
So we're going to be on there until we deliver the product. So you can go out there, pre-order it, get add-ons, whatever you want. And the expected delivery date is going to be towards March of 2021, so next year.
Okay.
Right now we're in track for it. So we're working hard to reach that goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, using the drill is you have to really hold it to know what I'm talking about. I wish I had it with me. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm working from home. But it's like something that you've never experienced, you know. Right now, if you pick up a tool, like power drill, you know, it's like clunky. It's feels dead. Like there's a motor, but that's it. When you pick up our tool, you know, the screen illuminates. It has all these options you can do. You can swipe through the menu. It's essentially like your smartphone, but on it for tool enthusiasts.
Right.
It
helps you do the job. And it like help if I don't know exactly what I'm doing, would it help me?
Exactly, and that's kind of it goes along with our vision. I'm glad you mentioned that. And our vision really is to revolutionize the way people use and interact with their tools.
Yeah.
Not only that, but to help people, new users especially, that might be, timid, or, they're intimidated with tools. Some of them are loud, a lot of people get hurt.
Yeah.
They've never used them before. And we
Yeah.
want our tools to be looked at as something that, is welcoming, that you can grab. It'll guide you through the job. It'll help you do certain tasks, whether it's measuring or keeping your hands straight, or, all these other things, with the added integrated tools and smart features that are built in.
Cool.
And that's essentially what we're building around. Yeah.
Amazing. So what comes after the xDrill? What's your dream?
Well, we have, the xDrill is just kind of like
the beginning.
Just the beginning. Yeah. We have, a whole line of products that we have planned. All of them are in the prototype stage, so they're all ready to go. It's just a matter of, pumping them out. But right
Yeah.
now we're obviously focused on the xDrill itself and getting it to our backers as soon as possible. We're going to have some other cool accessories that are going to be integrated as well.
Neat.
All that kind of circle around our smart open source platform, kind of smart technology that's built into the drill. It's going to be incorporated into many other tools.
Cool. Amazing. And again, congratulations on your Kickstarter. 413 backers, I think I saw. So shout out to all those backers as well. I've run Kickstarters. I know how I was gonna say frustrating they are, how time consuming, and it's just a labor of love even to do the Kickstarter. So congratulations. And I'd taken out. So if you go to indiegogo.com/projects/xDrill, the drill reimagined, that's where you can go. Okay, and get this.
Or you can just
go and still order.
Go on Indiegogo, search xDrill, and it should pop right up. Yeah.
Awesome. That's even easier.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so in terms of, 2020, you did your Kickstarter, but I'm curious about all of us, have been adjusting the way we work a lot in the, since March in particular. So I'm curious about usually what a question I have is, did COVID, did going to work from home, did this impact Robbox? I know I said it wrong at the beginning. Robbox, right? I'm saying it right now? Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Did it impact how you were working, and or what does that look like for you? What has 2020 been like for you?
Yeah, it's been an adjustment, and I'm sure it's been the same for many. I can say that, there's been positives and negatives. Yeah. Obviously, there's been more negatives than positives, as probably with many other businesses. Yeah. We're very fortunate because a lot of the work that we are doing, we can do remotely.
Right.
So it's, allowed us to continue developing, continue collaborating. We use Slack, Zoom. Yeah. I know a lot of engineers have their own platforms that they use together to collaborate. So in terms of development wise, it's been okay. I think some of the negatives that I've seen personally is it's been more difficult to get that investment outreach that we've been getting before. Yeah. It's much different going virtual. They're doing a lot of virtual events, but it's a little trickier than closing deals in person. So that's definitely a huge adjustment for us. Not only that, but also we're really missing the trade shows and all the events that we've been attending.
Of course.
I think that was one of the main things that we loved about going out and sharing our product. We want to share the product with the world. Yeah. And that's been obviously non-existent. And it doesn't look like it's going to change till probably in the summer next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. So one of the biggest ones that we go to is the Consumer Electronics Show, and they actually made it all virtual this year. So we're not even going to be attending. I'm not sure how that whole virtual Consumer Electronics Show will work, because usually you have like a booth, you're showing your product off, you're interacting with people. So
yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yeah. If you're planning to go to any virtual trade shows, or are there any other creative things you've thought about that you've been able to do?
I think in terms of virtual, we will be beginning to attend some of the investment shows that are virtual. There's a lot of shows. There's the Money Show, which is very big in the United States. They travel all around. So we're actually going to probably be attending one of those. Okay. That's planned. Nothing else planned at the moment. But, the positive, there has been one positive in the industry itself that we're in. And that's the fact that, the DIY market is just surging.
I was going to say,
Yeah, you go to like Canadian Tire and stuff, and there's just people lined up. Like everyone's at home building stuff, home improvements. So that's the one positive that I did notice. Yeah. For myself personally, it's been tricky adjusting to the whole working from home thing. Yeah. Sometimes, you find motivation and inspiration from others, interacting with people in person. So, but it hasn't been all bad, so I guess we all got to do our part to get through it, and hopefully it'll be over soon.
Yeah. I guess you got to think about like this time next year, what's the conversation we'll be having. But I think it still sounds like you've had incredible traction this year, and like you're on track with your goals, it sounds like. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you've done incredible work. And I would love to know, because I know you've been working in this for 4 years now. And it
Hmm.
sounds like you were working on other business endeavors
Yeah.
previous and at the same time as. So I'd love to know, not just from your experiences through COVID, but through all of your experience as an entrepreneur, what would be some tips you would have for your fellow entrepreneurs, particularly ones who are just starting out or who maybe launched this year?
Hmm. I think first off, and you hear it a lot, you hear this a lot, but you really have to open your arms to failure,
Mm,
because it's going to happen at some point. Maybe you're developing something and you're trying something out and it's just not working, and you fail over and over again. You just have to learn from it, move on, and kind of try new things. Let's say
yeah,
you were trying a specific method, maybe you got to try something else. You're
right.
trying a certain marketing technique or a campaign, you're going a certain direction, maybe you got to switch the direction. So that's a big thing, and it leads to like my second point, which is like perseverance, and just getting in the thick of it and staying in there. No matter how difficult it gets. Startup life is like a roller coaster. I'm sure many people
Mm,
know. You have those high times. You just close a huge round of funding. You make some great milestones, and then all of a sudden it comes crashing down.
yeah.
And something
It can be
happens.
a day-to-day roller coaster at times, or like the morning is
Exactly.
great, and then you get that email that you're just
Exactly.
like
Right.
dreading. Yeah.
It's all it takes. It's all it takes, right? So
Yeah.
it's important to stick it through these hard times,
Yeah.
because usually it's there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Most of the time there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and if you give up just before you crack that light, you might not never know what you could have reached.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of my big things that I've noticed throughout my career is whenever I felt like it was getting very, very difficult, and I was like, I can't do it anymore, and then I
Yeah.
just pushed it a little more, it was a breakthrough,
Right.
and then it improved. So that's one of the big things, and ultimately you do need to love what you're doing in order to do this, in order to keep going, right? And
Yeah.
that's one of the important things as well.
Yeah.
But for sure, perseverance, I think, it's at the top of my list.
Yeah. But then the piece around like if you don't like what you're saying, if you don't love what you do, then you're probably not going to persevere. So it's all kind of connected to each other, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And so, how can we as your community support you in persevering and support you in kind of continuing on this journey? How can we what would be your ask for Roblox?
For us, we our product development drives off of feedback from others. So what
Mhm.
we would love, is for everybody to go check out our stuff, go check out our Kickstarter, go check out the Indiegogo campaign, go check out our Instagram, leave some comments, what you like, what you don't like, and just tell us what you think about the products, and
Right.
how it can be better. What would you like to see into it? And that helps us so much. More than anyone can imagine. It helps us build something that people truly truly love. And I think that would be amazing if people can go and do that.
Cool. And that kind of goes into your first tip, right? About like that as an entrepreneur, you need to be willing to challenge your own assumptions and iterate and listen to
Exactly.
feedback.
You have to,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I know it's I don't know 'cause sometimes as a consumer or user, I don't know if we understand the power of our own feedback and then what that can do for us, particularly entrepreneurs and startups who are still early stage, even though you're 4 years in, but product development takes obviously a very long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is just like I can't imagine at this point the value of feedback. So that's fantastic. Yeah. So those who have just joined us, hello again. We're getting into just the last kind of two questions, but if you have any questions for Andrei, please do let us know. And Andrei, also, before I forget, I also want to double check what is the best way that people can get a hold of you?
Best way is, I'd say, through this Instagram channel.
Okay.
If you just DM, I get all of them. So that's
Okay.
probably the best way to get a hold of me. And then second best is go on our website, go on contact, shoot us a message in there, and I will get those as well. So that's probably the
Okay.
second best way. So 2 options.
Perfect. Okay, so that's at Roblox Tools, and that's with two B's. My clock is early. I need to wind my clock apparently, but it's telling me that it's 7 o'clock at my time. And also then it's www.robboxtools.com. So those are the two places people get a hold of you. Okay, so something I would love to get into, because we had a little bit of an email exchange back and forth, and you're talking about something that you really love to talk about, and I always like providing some space for this, so we can get to know you even a little bit better. So I know we only have a couple minutes left, but I would love to know, you're talking about the effects of technology, about the digital age, and what this is doing to society as a whole. And obviously you're creating smart tools, so you probably are constantly, surrounded by and reading about, and kind of your world is around technology. So why is this something that you love to talk about? Tell us a little bit more.
I think it stems from the fact that I've noticed throughout the years, just how the world's changing a little bit. And more specifically, I had a conversation actually about 3 days ago with one of my old teachers from high school, and I ran into him randomly at the gym, and we had a quick convo. I was very curious to learn, how students were doing nowadays, not only with the COVID thing, but because they're just so into their phones. There's, so many social media apps that are all competing for your attention. And the message that I got from him was that it was very difficult, and, that times have changed so greatly, and it's so hard to keep students not only paying attention, but, interacting and, getting their heads out of their phones. And after talking and speaking to him, I actually watched, I'm sure you might have heard of it, it's a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, and I watched
Everyone's talking about this right now. Last week I was talking to a woman on IG Live for Women in Tech World, the other organization, and she was going on about this, and it brought up like a bunch of conversations, and like in all my Slack groups, everyone's talking about it. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my watch list.
Yeah, you got to watch it. Like, and this is kind of like, it blew my mind, because I knew this was happening. I just didn't know to the extent. And as soon as I had this conversation with my old teacher, I see this and I'm like, wow, like this is truly a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I know because when I was in high school, I didn't have to deal with any of these things. We had phones, but we didn't have all the social media apps that are out there today. And it's draining, and kind of that leads me to like what it does to society as a whole. How is it changing us? Is it for the better? There's tons of positives, of course, in it, but there's also a lot of negatives that we maybe don't see the effects of right now.
Right.
But 2-3 years down the road, it's gonna hit us really hard. The next generation. So that that's something that's
weighing on you.
Intrigued me a lot, and I always want to learn more. But it's interesting, and at the end of the day, I do think there's going to be something that's going to, overtake all this like social media buzz. I don't know what it is, which is even scarier. Something else that's going to, take over. But that's kind of what my mind's interested in right now, at least, especially like you mentioned, working in the tech field where, we're integrating all these smart features into our tools, so the tool helps you, learns to know you better. So it's a little scary, but
I'm assuming you've taken all the ethical precautions needed,
of course,
and all the privacy. I was just listening to in a webinar about privacy regulations and how we have GDPR here in Europe, but essentially like the equivalent's going to be more heavily enforced in Canada as of November 1st. So companies in Canada, be aware that like privacy and thinking about like that kind of like ethics and privacy first approach to design of anything, but anything tech related or people related is just, it's so important. And I don't think something we had to think about this to a really great extent in the past, but it's also the reason why we're seeing all these kind of terrifying things that documentary talks about, because we just didn't think about it. It wasn't a privacy first mentality, or ethics first, or unbiased approach, or all those things. So I'm also really curious as to see where that's going to head, where we're gonna go. Cool. So if anyone wants to chat, what's that?
I said, I guess time will tell.
Time will tell. Yeah. And if anyone
Yeah.
has any thoughts about it, if you watch this documentary, a lot of our guests on Founders Chat like to talk about this documentary. So tell us what if you've seen it, what your thoughts are on it as well. So I'm curious. I'll watch it. I'll watch it and I'll see what I think.
Oh yeah.
So is there anything that we haven't touched on yet today that you wanted to talk about, Andre?
I think we covered it all, unless you have other questions. Yeah.
I only have one final question. So if you're happy, I'll do a little wrap up and
Sure.
and I'll ask you my final question. So everyone who's joined, whether you're live or watching later on, thank you so much for joining us. Again, even if it's later on and you want to ask some questions, we'll make sure we get those questions to Andre. But otherwise, make sure to check out robboxtools.com, follow them on Instagram, give your feedback, go check out their Indiegogo campaign and all the things. Hi, Paul, joining me in here. And so make sure to go check them out. It's super slick, very cool. And it's just been incredible to be a part of your journey, even in the little ways that we have been. It's been really cool. So I want to thank you so much for being here and for taking this time to tell your story, Andre. And if you didn't hear the whole origin story, please do come back, and we'll have it on IGTV probably within the next 24 hours. And we'll have it on our YouTube channel as well within a couple of days. So do check that out. And the last question I have for you, Andre, is what is one thing that brings you joy right now?
I think it's, the being able to enjoy the simple things in life again. Going outdoors, playing sports is probably one of my big ones. I've always been a huge sports guy, and I finally got back into soccer and able to be on the field again, and that's huge because it lets me just disconnect from everything. And that's one thing that is bring me a lot of joy right now. So I'm hoping nothing changes where that gets taken away again, but yeah,
I hear you. No, I'm loving that too. We recently moved into the countryside in Ireland, and I've been just like literally playing outside, like climbing trees.
So
and like, what's that?
It's probably beautiful there.
Yeah, no, it is. I absolutely love it, and we're down by the water now, and it's just wonderful. And it also has provided this opportunity to reconnect to nature. Being in Madrid for a couple of years and during lockdown was not an opportunity to connect with nature. So it's incredible. I feel more connected to my Vancouver roots with green and trees and being able to go outside and enjoy it. And so very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank you, Melanie.
Really appreciated it. Yeah,
thank you,
great.
Coalition. You guys are great. I really appreciate you guys doing this. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch, and we'll share our progress moving forward.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And whenever you want to, you are very welcome to come back and share your progress reports. Tell everyone how everything's going, and we'll get your updated thoughts on the digital age and where we're headed. And if you've come up with a whole new thing to take us out of this scary place.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I will talk to you later. And just have a really great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Cool.
See ya.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.